So my name is Sandy Neuzil, and I work for the Prevention of Blindness Society as their low vision community outreach person. And I have given many talks to people who have low vision. This is my first time speaking to people who help people with low vision. So I'm just going to take a minute, and I'm new at this, and to share my screen and start my presentation. So bear with me, please. I have to lean in close since I'm super nearsighted, not to mention legally blind. But I'm learning how to do this amazing technology, I think, I hope. Oh, it didn't work. Okay. Hang on a minute. I had been going through my presentation. I was at the end. Now, I don't know whether you see a light screen with dark letters, but I'm going to change my screen. It's called invert the colors, so that my screen has a dark background with light letters because that's much easier for me to see. And this will help give you the experience of what it's like for people with low vision. So the Prevention of Blindness Society is a nonprofit organization that was started about close to 90 years ago. And their mission is to help people with, to improve their vision, keep their eyes healthy by education. And we have some also trying to improve quality of life, especially for individuals who are experiencing vision loss. Now, when I say vision loss, I don't mean going totally blind. I mean going less than their vision used to be, okay? We champion healthy vision and innovation in eye and health and eye care. So the overview of this talk, I'm going to explain what is low vision, the impact of common eye conditions on vision, how to help people who have low vision, especially with reading, walking safely, engaging with others. And then I'm going to talk about what I think is really fun, light, glare, and contrast. Those can make a difference for people who have low vision, and managing them can be very helpful. You don't always stop to think about that, but I'll try to give some examples to help illustrate how that can help. And then I'll wrap up with sort of a list of the POB, Prevention of Blindness Society, low vision programs and resources. So this is not a hard and fast statistic, but about 1 out of 10 adults over the age of 70 experience some vision issues which can't be fixed with glasses or contact lenses. Then that's a lot of people, who might be going to their optometrist and saying, I just need a better pair of glasses. And the optometrist says, this is the best pair of glasses we can give you. It's the best prescription. And they're frustrated because they still can't see normally, 20/20 vision. So low vision, vision loss that can't be corrected, like I said, with the best glasses prescription. And it also can't be corrected with surgery. Maybe surgery will help some parts of the issue, but it can't bring vision back to normal. Low vision is more common with age, but it's not caused by aging. It's caused by underlying eye conditions. And so some of those underlying eye conditions could be cataracts. And thankfully, cataracts, well, that is the most common cause of blindness globally. But fortunately, in this country, cataract surgery is quite common. It's very safe. And that can restore a clear lens in your eye, so light can get through the lens into your eye. So cataracts may cause low vision, but that part surgery can help fix. AMD, age-related macular degeneration. Some people call it MACD, it's got a lot of nicknames, but I tend to call it AMD. That is very common in older adults. Probably over 2% of adults over age, say 70, maybe 4% over age 80. They're, again, not good, precise statistics on that, but it is a significant number of people have AMD. Glaucoma is also quite common. Glaucoma can start earlier in life generally than compared to AMD. And as glaucoma is starting, you might not notice it. And this, it's very important to have dilated eye exam every couple of years when you're younger. If there's a vision issue, maybe you should be having a dilated eye exam every year. But in a minute, I'll illustrate AMD and glaucoma. Diabetic retinopathy is another problem. If people don't manage their diabetes, they can have bleeding in their retina that robs them of some vision. RP, retinitis pigmentosa, it's not common throughout the population, and generally people start to notice it when they're teenagers, young adults. And yes, unfortunately, it can lead to total blindness over time, but it doesn't generally start with seniors. Rare injuries like, an object hitting your eye, or an eye stroke where for some reason the blood supply gets cut off to the eye for a while. Those are very rare, but I just wanted to mention them as other causes of vision decline and vision loss. Okay, I'm going to give you sort of what is the picture, what does it look like from the inside looking out for a person who has macular degeneration. Now, it will vary among people, but this is sort of a general way to think of it. So on the left, there's a picture of looking at the Statue of Liberty with normal vision, 20/20 vision. On the right is an example of what it might look like with macular degeneration. So there's this foggy grayish area in the middle, in the central part of your vision. It sort of obscures things. It can hide the details. They could be bigger or smaller area. It wouldn't necessarily be exactly a circle, but I'm just trying to illustrate how the cloudiness can, or the less vision in the central area for macular degeneration is typical. Another example, if a person has glaucoma, the vision starts to disappear from the periphery, from the outside, going towards the center of their vision. Now, people with glaucoma might be able to see very clearly straight ahead, but they can't see to the sides. So you can touch your fingers to your thumb and make a circle and put that in front of your eye, close the other eye, and look through it and see how little you can see of the room you're in. You can't see off to the sides. Another way to think about it is put a toilet paper tube, about 1.5 inches in diameter in front of your eye and look through that and see if you can navigate walking. It's hard. I guarantee it's hard. But the thing with glaucoma is people don't realize it at first, and they may lose a significant amount of vision before they realize something's going on. And that vision they lose cannot be restored, unfortunately. The progression of vision loss can be slowed down with eye drops to treat glaucoma. So it's very important to stay on top of meds if a patient has a resident where you live has glaucoma. Another example, this is diabetic retinopathy on the right, normal vision on the left. So in diabetic retinopathy, I mentioned that there might be bleeding from blood vessels might leak blood in the back of the eye, and that blocks that area of vision. So there might be spots or streaks that are obscuring the picture. So it's really hard to look at something and figure out what you're looking at because you're only getting part of the information. We've got the bottom of the Statue of Liberty and part of the top, but you kind of have to know what you're looking at to figure out what you're looking at. So those are some examples. So these impacts of low vision, I've tried to describe it. It might be a loss of vision area, central in your central vision or peripheral vision, or patches. There might be muted colors. There might be poor contrast sensitivity. Similar colors are hard to tell apart. So when you were looking at that Statue of Liberty with the gray blurriness over it, it was hard to distinguish things in detail. And I have a sort of a rectangle of blue on the screen, light blue, and there's white letters on that. Now, if you can read that, you've got good contrast sensitivity because that light blue and that light white are very similar. I have to lean in very close and try really hard before I can see it says, can you read this? So it's sort of a joke, but it's trying to prove a point. People who have vision issues often have trouble with depth perception because one eye might be different from the other eye. One eye might have more glaucoma and the other none at all. One eye might have advanced macular degeneration and the other just mild macular degeneration. So there's nothing in the rule book that says both of your eyes are going to age the same or have the same underlying conditions. And so you've got to keep that in mind. However, one thing is pretty generally across the board: as eyes age, you need more light to see. But I'll talk about that a little bit more later. So the impact on daily activities, and one way that doctors measure that somebody has low vision is whatever their vision is, they can't see well enough to do their regular daily activities. So I call this the I can't. That's a big clue too. When people say to you, I can't read the menus in the restaurants. I can't read the prescription on the medicine bottle. Now that's hard for a lot of people because it's always teeny tiny print. I can't read the TV captions when I'm watching, the closed caption TV because I have a hard time hearing. And now I can't read the closed captions either. It's frustrating. People may tell you that I can't walk safely. I can't see the steps when I'm going downstairs unless they're super clearly marked at the edges of each step. I can't see bumps like thresholds between rooms or in hallways where one section of a building meets another section of a building. Sometimes there's a threshold. I can't see dips. If I'm outside walking on the sidewalk and tree roots have made bumps and dips in the sidewalk, and it's easy to trip on those. People will say, I can't see the food on my plate. I can't see the games that I want to play with my friends. I can't see to do my crafts anymore. Those are all clues people have low vision and they need some help, maybe alternative ways of doing things so they're not so frustrated. And people will say, I can't recognize people coming down the hall or in the restaurant. So as people helping take care of people with low vision, keep in mind you should always greet people like this, say, hi, Sally, because Sally might not know you're talking to her because she might think there are other people in the room or in the hallway that you're talking to. So be specific. Say, hi, Sally, this is Nancy, and then move into your conversation because like I said, they won't know that you're talking to them and they won't know who you are necessarily. If they're good, they'll recognize your voice, but that's not a given. It takes time to learn people's voices. So how to help? Well, there are some tools, and I apologize if this is all very familiar to you, but I just want to review kind of quickly. There are traditional magnifiers. So I hope you can see my pointer, this big magnifying glass up at the top that somebody's hand is holding, like Sherlock Holmes would have held, as you know, the caricature of Sherlock Holmes walking around solving mysteries. That's one kind of traditional magnifier. This picture over to the side, that's a whole lot more examples of handheld magnifiers. Now, there are various sizes, and the sizes have to do with how strong, how much magnification there is. The larger the lens, the less the magnification. Okay, over here. As they get smaller and smaller, they're usually stronger magnifiers, which means they might magnify 5 times instead of 2 times. But the trade-off is you see less area that's magnified. This is just the physics of traditional handheld magnifiers. Another disadvantage of handheld magnifiers is it's hard to hold them steady. It's hard to hold them the right distance from what you're looking at. And as soon as you start looking at something, they cast a shadow, which makes it even harder to see what you're looking at. So people can get very frustrated by handheld magnifiers. They are a useful tool for some people, but they can be very frustrating. I personally have quit using handheld magnifiers. I used to use them quite frequently just for seeing a small area, but not anymore. So an alternative is what are called stand magnifiers. So this one is a stand magnifier that would stand on the floor. It might come over your shoulder while you're sitting in a chair to read. This stand magnifier is one that might sit on a table, and you could put the magnifying lens above what you're trying to look at. And you're not holding it in your hand, so you're not shaking, not moving. So that's a good thing. This dome magnifier, which is only about 3 inches across, but has a little light button in it. And I should say these other other stand magnifiers, you can be sure you get them with a light built in so you can turn the light on. This dome magnifier you would put right on a piece of paper that you're trying to read. You wouldn't be able to see very much area, kind of 3 inches across, but that can be very handy. You can just sort of slide it across the page you're reading or slide it down the column of what you're reading. So the dome magnifiers and the stand magnifiers are steady, and that might be more advantageous for people to use. No guarantees. I'm just making suggestions. Another possibility, but these are rather expensive, I will say, digital magnifiers, electronic magnifiers. These ones up here, it's a picture of 3 different ones. They're generally called CCTVs because they are closed circuit televisions. And back in the day, they had a television screen. Now it looks more like a computer screen. It's thinner, but those guys run on the order of $4,000 brand new. More if you get them so that you can click a button and it can read the text out loud to you. You can get them sort of the size of a iPad or a tablet, kind of 10-inch diagonal screen. Those will run about $2,000. The handheld magnifier that I have illustrated here, the Ruby, you can get it a 5-inch diagonal screen or 7-inch diagonal screen. And it has very simple buttons to enlarge or decrease the magnification, zooming in, button to take a picture, and then you can zoom in on that picture. Buttons to change the colors. Like I said, I have a black background with light letters. That makes it easier for me to see. Many people with low vision like the dark background with less stuff light and bright, and that has to do with glare that I'll be explaining in a minute. But again, and if any of your patients or clients or have a smartphone and can use it, taking a picture on a smartphone with your camera and then zooming in on that picture, that's like, you already own the smartphone. You can use that for digital magnification. And there are apps you can put onto smartphones for magnification. I think I have one or two more, and then I'm going to take a break for questions. And instead of magnifying stuff, you can make it large print, just start with large print. There are large print calendars. There's the large print Reader's Digest that comes out once a month. The New York Times publishes a large print newspaper once a week. Watch with a large face, playing cards with large, very large symbols on them, thermometer with large letters to read. So that's one way to get around holding something extra using a magnifying glass. Or you can listen to read. So the Talking Books program from the Library of Congress is a free service for anyone who can't read normal print, either because of their vision or because they can't hold the book, whether it's, a muscular thing, they can't hold the book. And the Library of Congress can loan you this talking book machine, and then back and forth with your library, you can get books on a digital cassette to play in the machine. And again, the buttons are pretty simple. And watching TV, if people can hear, but they can't see well, consider audio description channel. The audio description channel is sort of like the second channel. There's closed caption channel, and then there's the audio description channel on major TV networks, on almost most of the recorded television shows. It's not available for live TV like sports and news, but it's available on many movies. I don't know if you have movie nights, but you might be able to start using the audio description on your, watching movies. And the audio description is in between the dialogue. So you still hear the dialogue of the TV show or movie. Okay, so I want to take a break here. And if anybody has a question, please just speak up, because I can't see text, I can't see chats, and I don't want to leave this. Just speak up and ask the question, or we'll keep going, and at the end I'll turn off the screen.
Any current questions right now? I think we're good on questions at this moment.
Okay. I hope that wasn't too basic. I hope that's sort of a good refresher for things you already know, or a good reminder how that does help people with low vision. But okay, so those were tools. But I also like to say that you can adjust the environment of where a person is sitting, or when they're out walking, or when they're interacting with people. So let's go into light, glare, and contrast, and use those to our advantage. So light, like I said, most people as they age need more light, more than our grandchildren, those Gen Z kids who can do anything, anywhere, anytime. They're invincible. But the ambient light in the room, from the ceiling lights, from lamps on the table, from the windows letting in sunlight, there's a lot of ambient light in a given room once you turn the lights on, but you can always add light. You can add task lights, you can add pole lights, and you can wear a neck light. And I'll show you pictures of these in a minute. But it's very important to have the light coming from behind your head or from the side, so that light's not shining directly into your eyes that would cause glare. Now, the color of the light, in addition to the brightness of the light, the color of the light can make a difference. So most people with macular degeneration, I find, prefer the softer yellower light, the lower Kelvin rating on light bulbs these days, because we can't buy incandescent lights anymore. We have to buy LED lights, and LED lights have a Kelvin rating, and the Kelvin rating helps tell you what color the light is. The lower the Kelvin rating, the softer, yellower it will be. But a lot of people like the very bright daylight white light because that's got the full spectrum of the colors of light in sunlight, and it makes it easier to see colors. And so people sometimes prefer to have that daylight, blue light, white light, and not the yellow light. And just keep in mind, this varies among people depending on their low vision situation, cause of their low vision. It varies among people because of their preferences, and it varies from day to day, from time of day. So there's not one simple solution. Be prepared to, nudge the color of the light a little bit at some times of day, or nudge the brightness depending on what people need. Be open to variation amongst people. Even in my house, my husband and I don't need the same light, and so we have our preferences, and sometimes we're in different rooms because of that. Okay, lighting. So I mentioned that it can be ambient light, plenty of ambient light, just all the light in the room. But you can add light. So on the left here, I have what's called a tertiary light or a pole light, but it's facing up. The light is shining up from this tertiary light, okay? It's about 6 feet tall. The light source is above your head and your face. So it's not shining in your eyes, it's shining up at the ceiling, and it's lighting up the whole room. It's contributing to the light in the whole room. But task lights can also be right where you're sitting or working or trying to see something. So this pole light has a light that hangs down, and you could point it at the book you're reading or the puzzle you're doing or the knitting you're doing, angle it from behind or from the side. This task light, and I use this as an example. It's called a Cobra light, and it's made by Ott Light, Ottlite. I think they call it a Cobra because it looks a little bit like a cobra head. But this Cobra light, you can get one that has that's rechargeable. So you can pick that light up and move it from here to there, from your kitchen counter to your table where you're sitting eating to where you're looking at photos of your grandkids, and there's no cord coming with it. The cord is only when you're charging it up. The other beauty of this particular light is it has variable brightness and variable color built in. The neck light, the light on the right, and I hope you can see in the picture that, you just wear it hanging around your neck. The Glocusent, Glocusent light, it's a rechargeable, and they also have 3 levels of brightness and 3 different colors. I use the Glocusent neck light a lot. There's also a neck light called EZ, capital E dash, capital Z space red, RED, that a couple of my low vision friends really like. One of them uses EZ red when she's in the kitchen preparing dinner. One uses it when she's outside at night walking the dog. What's the advantage of a neck light? Both your hands are free, so you can do whatever task you're trying to do with 2 hands, and yet you have a light like a flashlight right where on the task you're doing. Flashlights are pesky. They're very useful, but they use one hand to hold. So you've only got one hand to work with. Okay, so getting the light bright enough and the right color, but not glaring in your face. So reducing glare also can involve, closing the blinds so that, if the sunlight's too bright and it's shining at you or it's reflecting off of tables, maybe you need to close the blinds a little bit, part way or all the way. Or maybe you just need to sit with your back to the window. I think all my friends know that as soon as I show up and we're sitting down somewhere, I say, I'll take that chair with my back to the window. They're getting used to me, and they're very forgiving and very cooperative, but it really can make a difference. You can wear a hat with a brim when you're outdoors in bright sunny days, and even outdoors on gray cloudy days. There's a lot of glare from the sky. And you can wear a hat indoors. Ceiling lights can sometimes bother people, the glare from the ceiling lights. My mother and my mother-in-law, bless their hearts, both passed away ages ago, were very critical of anyone who wore a hat indoors, and anybody, especially men, because as time moved on and, dress was more casual. Anyone who sat down at a meal with a hat on, ooh, they got the look from my mom or my mother-in-law. But I will say that there are times that I need to wear a hat indoors, and I might even need to wear a hat at a meal if the light is glaring in my eyes too much. And I will never, ever criticize anyone for wearing a hat while they're eating or doing anything indoors. That if it makes it easier for them to see, bless them, they've figured it out. And just a sort of a no-brainer, but if sunlight is coming in or the lights in the ceiling are causing reflections off of shiny surfaces, cover those shiny surfaces, counters, tables. The reflection can be quite annoying. You put a tablecloth or a table runner on that surface, even if it's just temporary. Just unfold a napkin and put it on that surface so that you're not being bothered by the glare. Okay, just a couple more slides. I'm almost done, and I hope I'm not taking too long. Increasing contrast. So I said some people have low contrast sensitivity, that colors that are the same lightness or darkness. Think of it like if you took a color picture and then you ran it through a Xerox machine and you just had black or dark gray or light gray or white. It was reduced to black and white and gray, no colors anymore. That's one way to think of contrast. So if two colors come out very similar gray, like a green and a blue might come out a similar gray, and if you change the colors to black, whites, and grays, it's hard to tell them apart. It's hard to distinguish objects when they're similar colors. So whenever you can increase the contrast, it might make it easier for people to see things. So a really simple example is to use plates and bowls and cups that contrast with the food or the drink that's in them. And I have noticed that when I'm pouring myself a cup of coffee, I start with a mug that has a white inside so that I can see how much coffee I've poured into it. I, at all costs, try to avoid clear glasses nowadays. Yes, I can see my orange juice in the clear glass, or my cranberry juice, or my milk, but once I've drank most of it and there's just a little in the bottom, I really do run the risk of not seeing the glass, and especially when it's empty, if I haven't cleared it off the table. I have knocked over and broken way too many clear glasses. So if at all possible, avoid clear glasses. A solid color mug might be better. Another way to increase contrast is what are called fit-over glasses, and I have a picture of them here. They look like sunglasses, but the lenses in them, and they often wrap around to the sides a little bit. This may not be the best illustration, but you can look up fit-over glasses online. Cocoons, COCOONS, like a cocoon, like a moth or a butterfly makes, and they call them cocoons because they wrap around your face like a cocoon wraps up the whatever they start with before they're moths and butterflies, the worm, the caterpillar. That's the word I need. Anyway, so fit over glasses can fit right up snug to your face. And if you wear glasses, you can put them over your glasses. And the color of the lenses of fit over glasses can be yellow or sort of a reddish purplish color, or orange or amber or gray. Gray reduces all of the light, so that could reduce glare, but it does not help increase the contrast. Yellow often helps, not always, but often helps people with AMD, macular degeneration. And it's a pretty simple experiment to try, offer them a pair of yellow fit over glasses. And when they put them on, if they say, I can see better, I can see people's faces better, I can see the edges of things better, then it's worth the $60 or so to buy a pair of yellow fit over glasses. My sister wears red glasses outside. Red often helps minimize migraine headaches, which has nothing to do with low vision, but I just mentioned that as an aside. I wear orange fit over glasses. Now, presumably my sister and I have very similar eye conditions, but we find different solutions help each of us. Orange or amber fit over glasses help reduce the blue glare of sunshine and the very bright blue end of the spectrum from fluorescent lights. So I will wear my orange sunglasses, fit over glasses, whenever I step outside, blue days, cloudy days, and I often wear them in stores with fluorescent lights. I frequently wear them indoors if the light is too bright and glary for me. But again, that's very individual, and there's no clear-cut example. There's no hard and fast rule what would help anybody. It's trial and error. So another way to increase contrast is to add colored tape. I use 3M yellow tape. You could use white tape or pink tape or red tape, whatever color somebody can see easily. The 3M tape, you can get it at the Lowe's or Home Depot. It's about $5. It might be $6 a roll. I go through a roll in about a year, but I put it on my black pens so that I can see my pens on the desk when I put them down. I have yellow and white squares of tape on the back of my phone. So when I put my phone down, I can find it again. Things hide in plain sight when you have low vision. You put things down, you forget where they are, you go back to find them, and I swear they're gone. At the third time I go back to find them, there they are. They've been there the whole time, hiding in plain sight. You can put colored bump dots on things. People put them on microwave buttons, dishwasher buttons, just a couple, put them on the buttons you use most often. They may or may not be helpful to people, but it's just another alternative they stick on, you peel off the back and then there's a stick it on. Those also, you can find them, not necessarily all the colors. You can find bump dots at Home Depot and Lowe's in the picture hanging section because people put them behind pictures or put them on cabinet doors so that they don't bump the wall. But you can buy them from Maxi Aids or LS&S catalogs. You can buy various colored bump dots. Those are just some more suggestions of things that might help people who are frustrated with their low vision, not being to distinguish objects, see the edge of objects, or find things that are hiding from them. So what's the overall goal? What are we trying to do here? We're trying to keep seniors safe, independent, and engaged. We want them to enjoy life. We want them to feel like they're doing things a little bit differently, but they're still normal people. We still care about them and we want to help them be safe, be independent, and be engaged so that they will socialize. There's mealtime is important. And if they're having a hard time finding somebody to sit with, help them find some friends and then they can socialize more. They should participate in activities. The Prevention of Blindness Society does have some resources that might help you help people with low vision. The Your Eyes Today newsletter comes out monthly. It's in large print. Anyone who with vision, who's helping people with low vision, anyone with low vision, if you want a printed copy and it's in large print, like I said, just provide your snail mail address. But if you want a digital copy that you can read on your computer or your phone and enlarge it, and that's fine too. And if one of you wants to have a digital subscription and then share it with your coworkers, that's fine. We have in the newsletter, there's a blog that my colleague at Prevention of Blindness, Tara Aziz, usually writes, but sometimes we have guest writers. But it's low vision perspective on, we have a different topic each month, how to, help with writing, help with reading, different topics that you might find useful to help your clients, patients, residents. I'm not quite sure what the right word is. And then the Prevention of Blindness has a couple of virtual meetings each month. We have the Tech Talk Tuesday, and we've even had, low tech, no tech. It's not always high expensive technology, but that you might find that useful. And we also have what we call the town hall. That's a phone call. There's nothing visual about it. You can join it by Zoom or you can join it on the phone, but there's no visuals for that. So either of those you can listen to live on a monthly basis, or you can listen to the replays. So I will take questions. If you don't think of questions now, you're welcome to send me a question at my email, sneuzil, Neuzil, @youreyes.org. And while we're taking questions, I'm going to put up on the screen the contact information for Prevention of Blindness Society and let you know, which I hadn't explained already, that we have what we call low vision resource centers, one in Bethesda, one in Washington, D.C., and one in Alexandria. And you can go there and talk with a low vision resource specialist or a low vision resource navigator. My colleagues who do this, we have a lifetime of working with low vision ourselves because we are low vision. So we are familiar with potential solutions for things. We don't have medical training. We can't answer medical questions, but we can help answer questions on how to do things and resources that are available. Anyway, questions. Just shout them out because I'm not seeing hands raised. And in a minute, I'll stop sharing this screen. And then maybe we can see each other again. Is it okay if I stop sharing?
Yes. Yes. Somebody go ahead, Karen.
Okay, I have a question. Do you have difficulty seeing the image on a television?
Oh, yes.
And do you have a solution for that?
Well, for me, sitting closer because I'm nearsighted helps, but for people who are bound and determined that they want to see the TV screen, it isn't always possible. Sitting closer might help, being sure that the light in the room is, I'm sorry, I'm trying to stop sharing the screen so that we can see each other, and I've lost where I should do that. I apologize. I'm not the world's smartest techie here. And I'm afraid if I stop something, I might stop the Zoom meeting. So pardon me for having a weird screen here. It's important to have the light in the room to your best advantage. Looking at a TV screen in a dark room can be a glare issue because that TV screen is very bright compared to the dark room. So you want to have ambient lighting in the room around the TV screen so that as you look from something else in the room to the TV screen, you're not going from super bright to moderate or super dark to moderate. That could help. Other than that, there are very expensive goggles that you can wear that are like that would magnify what you're looking at. But in general, I think sitting close, having the light, and then just this is the other really challenging thing for people to accept that they aren't going to be able to see as well as they used to, but just go ahead and enjoy it the best you can. You can ask a person sitting next to you to explain things when you need things explained, or like I said, the audio description channel might help explain while you're watching. And I've used it. It's very helpful. But like I said, I barely see the details on the screen. I mean, I can't tell one person from another person on a TV show, so that gets very confusing.
Okay, thank you so much.
Any others? I think that was our one main question. And maybe just speaking for the whole representative, I know one thing I definitely took away from this presentation with our clientele, residents, participants, is the contrast piece. So that might be a big factor I think we can all take away when we're offering our meals or our activities or just trying to engage them in general.
And I don't know if you serve meals or if people have to serve themselves from a buffet line.
So we do serve them with their plates and stuff, but you know, we encourage them to independently eat. So that can
Yes.
be an issue, seeing the food.
Yes. Yeah, oh, I'm glad you don't have a buffet line. Buffet lines are the bane of my existence. I have eaten some really odd combinations because when I was younger, I was too proud to ask for help. Asking for help, it's a hurdle. It's an art. You have to learn to ask for help. You have to accept that I can't see very well. And, but I'm glad that you do serve food and the contrast, it could, I don't know whether you're using throwaway dishes or reusable dishes, but throwaway dishes come in different colors. So you can get dark ones some of the time, light ones some of the time. But if you can put that to your advantage, that's great.
Well, thank you, Sandy, so much. I do think this is very beneficial. If you don't mind, sending anything and I have your contact, I can always follow back up if any questions come afterwards.
Okay. And
oh, hold on, one more.
Okay.
I'm wondering if you are going to send this material to us.
Oh, they're just wondering if you're going to send the materials or send the presentation.
I'll make the presentation available online, and I can send a 2 or 3 page resource guide. Okay. I admit I didn't do that ahead of time. So you're based in Maryland, or are you based in Maryland, DC, and Virginia? Because
our Montgomery County location is in only Maryland, but we're currently at our Howard County location, which is in Columbia.
okay.
But our Montgomery County side can absolutely use those resources because we do touch the Bethesda and that whole side of the world. So
okay, I will send my Maryland sort of handout because there's a couple of state agencies that you have to go to the state you live in, kind of thing. But
perfect.
and I'll list, like I mentioned, the 3M tape available at Home Depot and Lowe's. I'm not supposed to I'm not promoting a specific brand. Whenever I do tell you a brand, it's an example, and I'll try to give you a generic name so that you can find other examples if you want. But sometimes it's easier just to start with an example.
Well, this was great. We appreciate you, Sandy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The applause is good. My goal whenever I give a presentation, and like I said, this is the first time I've spoken to people who are an audience of helpers, as opposed to an audience of people who are living the life of low vision. So I have to admit, I was a little nervous, so thank you. And my goal is always, if I reach one person, if I help one person with one thought, then I've succeeded. And your applause helped me too. But can you give me an estimate of how many people joined the Zoom meeting today?
About 14 to 16. We'll call it 16 for you.
That is awesome. Okay, that's a good group. Okay, and I will let you know when this is available on the website so that you can go back to it anytime.
Sounds good. You can send me an email directly.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Aisha. Thanks, everybody.
We'll see you around.
Okay, Shema, you can stop the recording and